This video is an introduction to the multi-choice patience activity that's been created by myself, Dave Foord, of A6 Training and Consultancy Limited. And this is free for anybody who works in education or in a non-commercial environment to use as a teaching and learning activity. Now, the basic way that it works is the tutor enters a series of questions and answers into a grid that looks a little bit like this. And then from that, it will generate cards that becomes the activity. So if I jump to the cards, in this case, I'm going to use the 36 card set. So I've got 36 multiple choice questions, each having 4 possible answers. 1 is right and 3 is wrong. Now the students, they can start with any card within the pack. It doesn't matter where. I'm going to start with number 1 just because it's easier. And the question is, which is the longest bone in the human body? And they have 4 options. Is it the humerus, femur, fibula, or tibia? Now, if they turn around and think, oh, I think it's the femur, next to the femur is the number 13, and that's telling them to go to card number 13. So they go through their pack and they find card 13. Again, it's got a question for them, 4 possible answers and 4 numbers. So they try and work out the correct answer, and they go to the number card that it tells them to. Now, the way it works is they're trying to create, in this set with 36 cards, 6 loops of 6. So when they get to the 6th card, the answer should point back to the card they started with. If it does, then they've probably got it correct. If it doesn't, then one of their answers is wrong. So they've got to then go back through the questions and try and work out which one they think is wrong and keep going until they've created their loop of 6. Once they've got the loop of 6, they then pick any other card in the pack and they repeat the process. And they're trying to create 6 loops of 6. I used to use this activity with my students, usually like the last week of term. It was a great activity because it was a bit of fun, and they're either doing it individually or in small groups of 3 or 4. It was relatively quick for me to set up. All I had to do was put the questions into the grid, print it out, cut them up into sets of cards, and then give them out to the students. So if you want to create one of these yourselves, the resource can be downloaded from my website, which is www.a6training.co.uk, and then on the left we go to resources, and then it's under the class management section, and we scroll down to where it says multi-choice patience generator. Now there's a completed example, which is my anatomy example here, but the blank one is above it. So we click on that to download it, and then we open the file. I'm going to enable editing, and there's a set of instructions for the tutor, and then there's a series of links to the different pages or the tabs, which I'll come to shortly. Now the basic mechanism is you go to the grid where you're entering the data, and you would put your question in the cream box, the correct answer in green, and then the 3 wrong answers for that question in the pink boxes, and you work your way down. If you've only got 20 questions, you just go as far as the 20 line. If you've got 25, go down to 25, and then 30 or 36. But it has to be an exact number. You can't have 33 or 28. It's got to be either 20, 25, 30, or 36. I'm just going to quickly copy and paste my questions in rather than type them in manually. So I'm going to copy those questions so that it populates my sheet. Now in this case, I've gone for the 36 questions, so I've filled the grid. So at the bottom here, I've got the student instructions, and then you've got 36, 30, 25, 20. So depending on the number of cards, you choose the right tab. And all you do is you print this sheet out and you give it to the students with the set of cards. Now what I then need to do is I either need to move right along the tabs to find the 36 card, because that's what I'm using, or you go back to your tutor instructions and you use one of the links. So in this case, I'm going to go for cards, no gaps. Now the no gaps means that the cards are hard up against each other, so it's less cutting, so it's a bit quicker. If you went for the cards with the gaps, it's just space them out a bit. It means you can cut them slightly neater, but it takes a lot longer. So it's up to you which one you want to use. I usually use the no gaps cards. And all you do is you go and file print, and it should print them in the right size. Once they've printed out, you cut them out, put them into a plastic wallet, and then give them to learners with the instructions. Every time you open this activity or you change anything, the actual numbers will change. It randomly reorders it, but they will always create the 6 loops of 6 in this case. So if I just go back to the start, so if you've got 36 cards, you have 6 sort of sets of 6. 30 cards would be 5 sets of 6. 25 is 5 sets of 5, and 20 is 4 sets of 5. So they're the combinations with the different numbers. And all you need to do is print out the relevant instructions for the number that you've got, and then print out the card sheets for that number, cut them up, and away you go.